When Doris Day passed away at the age of 97, the world mourned the loss of one of Hollywood's brightest stars. She was known for her golden voice, sunny personality, and the kind of charm that made her one of the most loved figures in entertainment history. But while millions celebrated her public image, her grandson Ryan Melcher experienced her death in a very different way. He found out about it the same way fans did through Facebook. That moment revealed something deeper than just grief. It showed how distant her private world had become from those closest to her. Doris Day's life, though filled with fame and success, was also marked by secrets, emotional walls, and painful family divisions. To the world, she was the cheerful girl next door, a symbol of innocence and optimism. But behind closed doors, she battled betrayal, control, and deep loneliness. Her manager, who was also her husband, controlled much of her life, separating her from family and shaping her career to his benefit. Even after her passing, the truth about her struggles slowly began to surface, showing a side of Doris that few had ever seen. Ryan's reflections helped uncover the real story of a woman who gave so much joy to others while quietly enduring years of sorrow. Her life was not just a story of fame, it was a story of strength, survival, and the cost of being loved by millions while feeling alone at home. Doris Day, born Doris Mary Ann Kappelhoff on April 3, 1922, in Cincinnati, Ohio, grew up in a working-class family during the Great Depression. Her father was a music teacher, and her mother was a hardworking homemaker who raised Doris and her brothers after their parents' divorce. Life wasn't easy, but young Doris was full of spirit and curiosity. From an early age, she loved music and dancing. Her energy and determination set her apart from other children. At just 12 years old, she entered a local talent contest and amazed everyone by standing on her hands for over 3 hours, winning free dance lessons. Those lessons became her first step toward a future in entertainment. But life had a cruel turn waiting for her. When she was just 14, she was in a terrible car accident that broke her legs so badly that doctors feared she might never walk again. Her dream of becoming a dancer seemed shattered. Confined to her bed for months, Doris began listening to the radio to pass the time. She started singing along with her favorite artists, especially Ella Fitzgerald, and discovered a new passion. Her mother recognized her talent and arranged for singing lessons. Doris's natural voice quickly stood out. By 15, she was singing professionally in local clubs for $5 a night. What had once seemed like a tragedy turned into the path that would make her a legend. Her early years showed the kind of resilience that defined her entire life, turning heartbreak into hope and challenges into opportunities. As Doris continued performing, her talent couldn't be ignored. One night, while singing in a small nightclub, she caught the attention of bandleader Barney Rapp. He was impressed by her voice but thought her last name, Kappelhoff, was too long for show business. He suggested the name Doris Day. Though she didn't like it at first, it would soon become one of the most famous names in Hollywood. Doris began performing with popular bands, including Les Brown's orchestra, and her warm, emotional voice quickly made her a fan favorite. In 1945, her song Sentimental Journey became an anthem for American soldiers returning home from World War II. It sold over 1 million copies and made Doris Day a household name. But her rise wasn't without pain. Around this time, she lost her beloved brother in a car accident. Instead of stepping back, Doris poured her emotions into her music. Her ability to express deep feeling through her songs became one of her trademarks. In 1947, she signed a major contract with Columbia Records and began recording as a solo artist. Her song, It's Magic, became a massive hit, earning her an Oscar nomination. She recorded it in a single take, a sign of her growing confidence and professionalism. Doris's success wasn't just luck. It was built on discipline, heart, and a willingness to take risks. Every note she sang carried a piece of her story, her pain, and her strength. Doris's transition from singing to acting came almost by accident. At a party, 2 famous songwriters heard her sing and encouraged her to audition for a film role. She had never acted before, but her natural warmth and charisma shone through. She landed the lead role in Romance on the High Seas in 1948, and audiences immediately fell in love with her. Her mix of humor, beauty, and emotional honesty made her one of the most bankable stars of the 1950s. Over the next decade, she starred in a series of successful musicals and romantic comedies, including Calamity Jane and Pillow Talk. Her song, Secret Love, from Calamity Jane, became another global hit and even won an Oscar. Interestingly, Doris didn't like the song at first. She was exhausted from personal problems and didn't want to record it, but when she finally did, she sang it with such emotion that the entire orchestra was moved to tears. The song later became an anthem for many people who lived with hidden love and unspoken emotions, especially in the LGBTQ+ community. Through her voice, Doris gave people comfort and courage. Despite her fame, Doris was deeply private. She often suffered from stage fright and refused to perform live, which some misunderstood as arrogance. In truth, she was humble and often unsure of her own greatness. Her life showed that behind every perfect smile could be a storm of fear, pain, and personal battles. Still, Doris kept shining her kindness and authenticity, setting her apart in an industry known for its cruelty. While DorisDay's professional life was filled with applause and awards, her personal life was far more difficult. She was married 4 times, and each marriage brought its own heartache. Her third husband, Martin Melcher, played the biggest role in both her career and her personal struggles. As her manager, Melcher controlled her finances and career choices, often isolating her from family including her son, Terry, and later her grandson, Ryan. Doris trusted him completely, believing he was protecting her. But after his death in 1968, she discovered he had left her nearly bankrupt. A shocking $22 million had vanished due to bad investments and mismanagement. Many in Hollywood were stunned, but Doris refused to give up. Instead of falling apart, she worked tirelessly to rebuild her life. She took on a television show, even though she didn't want to, simply to pay off debts. It showed her courage and sense of responsibility. She didn't blame anyone. She just kept moving forward. Her relationship with her family remained complicated, and some emotional wounds never fully healed. But Doris focused her energy on what mattered most, using her voice, fame, and heart to bring goodness into the world. Her strength in facing betrayal with grace became one of her most defining qualities. After the 1960s, Doris slowly stepped away from acting and turned her attention to something that gave her real happiness: helping animals. She had always loved them, and in 1978, she founded the DorisDay Animal Foundation. Through it, she rescued abandoned pets, funded shelters, and fought against animal cruelty. Unlike many celebrities who only lent their names to causes, Doris was personally involved. She met with lawmakers, raised money, and worked behind the scenes to make a difference. Her compassion wasn't limited to fame or fortune, it was part of who she was. She lived simply in her home in Carmel, California, surrounded by her dogs and close friends. She avoided the spotlight and rarely gave interviews, but when she did, she spoke with honesty and warmth. She often said that the quiet life gave her peace. Even in her later years, Doris continued to inspire people with her kindness and integrity. She proved that true success isn't about awards or money, it's about the positive impact you leave on others. Her dedication to animals and her belief in kindness made her loved by generations beyond her Hollywood era. When she died at 97, fans and fellow stars remembered not just her movies, but her heart. DorisDay's life was a blend of glamour and struggle, light and shadow. She was one of the few entertainers who conquered both music and film, yet she remained humble throughout her life. She faced betrayal, financial ruin, heartbreak, and loneliness, but never lost her compassion or grace. Ryan Melcher's story of discovering her death through social media reveals the price Doris paid for privacy. She kept her inner world tightly guarded, perhaps as a way to protect herself after years of being controlled and hurt. Still, she left behind a legacy that goes far beyond the screen. Her songs like Sentimental Journey and Secret Love continued to touch hearts across generations. Her performances still feel genuine and timeless. And her charity work reminds us that fame means little if it's not used for good. DorisDay was more than a movie star. She was a symbol of resilience, a fighter wrapped in kindness, and a woman who lived her life by her own quiet strength. She showed that you can be gentle and powerful at the same time, that true beauty lies in honesty, and that even the brightest stars have battles we never see. Her story teaches us that success isn't about how perfect your life looks, it's about how bravely you live. Even though DorisDay became one of Hollywood's most bankable stars, she never truly felt like she belonged there. While other stars enjoyed the fame, Doris often felt trapped by it. She disliked the way the industry worked, how studios controlled actors' lives, forced them into roles, and managed their public images like products. For Doris, acting was never about power or attention. It was about bringing real emotion to the screen. Yet, her managers and producers often used her perfect image to sell movies. They typecast her as the cheerful, wholesome woman who could never do wrong. This image, though beloved by fans, became a kind of prison for Doris. Behind her bright smile, she carried pain and exhaustion from being someone she wasn't allowed to stop being. She wanted to take on deeper, more serious roles, but the studio system of the 1950s preferred her as America's sweetheart. By the time she realized how little control she had over her career, it was too late. Her fame had become her cage. Still, she never turned bitter. Instead, she accepted her circumstances with quiet dignity, always giving her best performance no matter what role she was handed. Her professionalism earned her the respect of even her toughest critics. Many co-stars later said that she was one of the kindest and most disciplined people they had ever worked with. Even when she was heartbroken or tired, Doris showed up on set smiling, treating everyone equally from camera crew to co-stars. That was her true power, not fame, but grace. The more successful Doris became, the more she was expected to keep up her perfect image. Every dress, every word, every photo had to fit the idea of the happy, pure, all-American girl. The public adored her, but this constant pressure took a deep toll on her mental health. Inside, She was struggling with insecurity and guilt. She didn't feel as perfect as people believed her to be. She often said she felt like she was acting even when the cameras were off. Her relationships suffered because of this. Many people wanted to be close to Doris Day, the movie star, not Doris, the person. She longed for simple things, honesty, peace, and family, but fame made those almost impossible. She once said, "I had everything people dream of, and yet I was lonely." The Hollywood machine didn't care about her emotional pain. It only cared about her next movie. She worked tirelessly, sometimes making 3 films in a single year. The exhaustion led her to moments of deep sadness and self-doubt. Yet, Doris hid it well. She believed that showing weakness would disappoint her fans. Instead, she poured her pain into her performances. When she smiled on screen, it wasn't fake, it was brave. She didn't want people to feel her pain. She wanted them to feel hope. That selfless choice made her one of the most admired figures in film history. But it also showed how fame can sometimes take more than it gives. Doris' role as a mother was one of the few things that truly mattered to her beyond her career. Her son, Terry Melcher, inherited her musical talent and became a successful producer and songwriter. He worked with famous bands like the Byrds and helped shape the sound of 1960s rock music. But their relationship wasn't always easy. Doris's marriage to Terry's stepfather, Martin Melcher, created emotional distance between them. Martin's control over Doris extended to her son, limiting their time together and creating years of misunderstanding. Yet, despite those wounds, Doris never stopped loving Terry. When she discovered how badly Martin had handled their finances, one of her first worries was how it would affect Terry's future. Over time, they reconciled and rebuilt their bond. Terry later said that his mother was the strongest person he had ever known, someone who faced tragedy without letting it destroy her. Unfortunately, Terry died of cancer in 2004, and it broke Doris's heart. She withdrew even more from the public after that, but she stayed close to Terry's son Ryan, who would later speak out about the family's hidden pain. He shared how deeply he admired his grandmother, even though complicated family dynamics kept them apart for years. Ryan's honesty helped fans understand Doris not just as a star, but as a human being who faced painful losses with quiet courage. Those who knew Doris Day personally often described her as a mix of light and mystery. To some, she was endlessly cheerful. To others, she seemed distant, like someone who had built high walls around her heart. She trusted very few people, especially after so many betrayals in her personal and professional life. Yet, she never let bitterness define her. She treated strangers with kindness and was known for her generosity. Friends often said that Doris would go out of her way to help anyone in need, even when she herself was struggling. She preferred the company of animals to the chaos of Hollywood parties. In interviews, she admitted that fame sometimes scared her, that she never sought it out. It just happened. When she was no longer in front of cameras, she found comfort in simple things: gardening, cooking, and spending quiet evenings at home. Her friends described her home as warm and peaceful, filled with laughter, soft music, and the sound of barking dogs. It was a world far away from flashing cameras, where she could finally just be Doris. Her decision to live privately in her later years wasn't about pride, it was about peace. She had given the world her talent and heart for decades. Now she just wanted to rest in the quiet joy she had long been denied. Doris Day's journey teaches us many lessons about strength, forgiveness, and authenticity. In a world obsessed with fame and perfection, she showed that true beauty lies in kindness and resilience. Despite being betrayed, used, and hurt, she never stopped believing in love or doing good for others. Her story reminds us that happiness doesn't come from success, but from peace within. She found that peace not in Hollywood, but in the quiet moments, surrounded by her pets and memories. She didn't need applause anymore. She had already won the hardest battle, staying true to herself. Her grandson Ryan once said that what made Doris special wasn't her fame, but her ability to stay humble after achieving so much. Even today, her films bring laughter, her songs bring comfort, and her story inspires millions. Doris Day wasn't perfect, and that's what makes her so real. She showed us that it's okay to be broken, as long as we keep moving forward. Her life, filled with ups and downs, proved